picture the scene. You've got a safe job and you decide to write children's books. You leave that safe job, but realise you can't make enough money selling books. I don't think anyone can, actually. Not everyone's J.K. Rowling. So you go into the gig economy just to make ends meet, but you want to take this business back to the level of your original vision and dream. Well, I've got some ideas of just how my guest today can do that. Listen in. Hello campers, welcome back to Business Broadcast. I'm really looking forward to the conversation today we're going to have with a lady called Jo Wilcox. But before we do have that conversation, welcome JB back.
Hi there.
To Business Broadcast.
Hi there, my friend.
We've just had lunch, haven't we?
We had. It was delicious. The same thing every time.
Yeah, we had a curry in a hurry.
Curry in a hurry. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Delicious. I'm surprised you haven't bought that business around there.
It's too small fry for me, mate.
Too small fry. I like this done there.
Yeah.
Made it about the chips.
James Sinclair only wants to get involved in businesses, $1 million+ revenue with management teams.
He's now talking about himself in the third person.
Yeah.
That's what James Sinclair's doing.
Now, let me just ask you a question.
Yes.
What's your favourite platform for distributing media on out of all the big ones? Snappychat, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Linky Dink. If you just had one, what's your favourite?
If I only had one, it'd be LinkedIn.
LinkedIn?
Yeah, LinkedIn.
Even more and more people.
For B2B
have you got
leads generation.
Business off of it?
100%. Yeah, lots.
What, from putting out content?
From putting out content, yeah. Yeah. The great thing with LinkedIn is that it wants your content to reach as many people as possible. Whereas like an Instagram, it will show it to like 3% of your audience. And then if it gets a good bit of engagement, it will show it to 9%. And then it shows it more and more. LinkedIn wants to show it to more people. And then also the connections of the people who've seen the content can also see the content. It's the only one that gets
I started
reach.
A business today called the James Sinclair Podcast Agency. And I would say Spotify and podcasts. If I had a podcast agency, would be my.
But you said platform. Yeah, no. Obviously, podcast. But I
haven't started a podcast agency. Now I'm going to ask you another question.
Yeah.
What's your main business, JP?
LinkedIn advertising now. No, but I think for that reach, LinkedIn is probably the best one.
Okay.
In terms of reach that actually then for B2B businesses, reach
more
that
than
then,
YouTube.
More than YouTube, yeah. Reach that then
I fundamentally disagree with you on that.
Okay, fantastic.
But I honestly think the more time I spend on YouTube, I think it is the most powerful platform. I think LinkedIn's up there. I think you get some.
It depends. Again, it's horses for courses. You want people,
and then podcasts.
Yeah, you want people who would come to an event for 200, 300, 400 quid. That's
not necessarily.
That's the audience.
No. I think because I know that people are spending 30, 40 minutes with me on YouTube. Mm-hmm. Or, sorry, I know they're spending 30 to 40 minutes on the YouTube platform when they go on there, whether it's me, with me, or another, or with us, or another. On LinkedIn, I don't believe it's as long as that, and therefore that's why YouTube gets my win. Which segues me now onto books.
Yes.
Lots of people are listening to audiobooks. Now, do you listen to audiobooks, or are you more of a podcast guy?
Just podcasts. I can't get on board with audiobooks. I've tried it again and again. Yeah, can't get on board with it.
I'm just re-listening to How to Get Rich by Felix Dennis.
So you said you were reading that. So you reading that? You listening to that?
To it, but I have read it as well.
But do you count that as the same thing? Because that's really interesting. People are like, I've read this book. No.
I just
Would you absorb the information?
I think reading actual pages is really important, and everyone should be doing it. I think it's an essential skill set of life, and it makes you a better person. But I love podcasts and I love audiobooks, but you get your favourite podcasts and you get used to their dulcet tones, which I'm sure we've got thousands of people now that are used to our dulcet tones.
We are them to that. They are that to them, sorry.
But sometimes with the audiobook, I just don't like the person reading the book. But sometimes I really like, and I'm like, I'm in. But How to Get Rich, which is like essential.
Is it him reading it?
No.
Oh, okay.
But Felix Dennett, who's died, this guy would be worth, he'd be a billionaire if he was still alive today. But I think he's 14 years gone now.
Yeah. Did he give away a load of his money to like Nottinghamshire-based woodland anyway?
Loved the tree.
Yeah.
Loved the poet. He loved the poem, sorry, and he was, a poet as well. But it's just the best homework for any entrepreneur to read that book. It is literally every page is gold.
It's a great book.
And you need to reread it constantly. But books, I think I think it's really hard to make money from books, and that's where our guest is today.
Yeah.
J.K. Rowling is a unicorn.
Yes.
There's people that have wrote amazing books that have been read by thousands, millions, don't really make that much money.
No.
But books can give you a position, and the word author will find itself in authority, and authority into a marketplace, and which should be the primary reason that we write books, is to get authority. And then if you're lucky enough, someone's going to make a film out of it or a TV show, and that's been done countless times.
You have to find. I find it very similar to podcasting. A lot of people come to me, they're like, "Oh, I want to get a sponsor for a podcast. Why?" Well, I want to monetize it. Well, why can't you monetize it through the thing that you do for your podcast? Yeah. It's much better for your brand. Like you've never taken a sponsor on this podcast, but it's probably generated you hundreds of thousands of pounds worth of revenue, because it'll either be someone who's listened to you and knows how you operate in terms of business, and they've sold you a business which you've then turned into the money, or they've come to your events and your seminars,
I've never put ads on the podcast. Like you can have agencies where you can
put other stuff around it. So for example, the way to monetize this for you or for us is like the live event, which you should definitely come to, guys, by the way, June the 10th at the Leicester Square Theatre. It's the books, it is the event. So you are indirectly creating revenue through the podcast. So I think in this day and age, that's probably how the majority of authors need to think of it. It's
having an audience. That's
definitely.
If you've got attention and an audience, like that is very, very powerful.
Yes.
You write The Philosopher's Stone, and you can have shops pop up all around London selling Harry Potter gear, and she hasn't brought out a new book in a decade? I don't know.
Something like
that. And the Harry Potter brand is worth billions.
Yeah.
Billions.
Yeah.
Multi-billions.
It's like Richard Osmond. He's the guy who's off telly. He's the guy on Pointless. He's the clever guy on Pointless. But he was also... I
don't know what you're talking about here.
Pointless is a TV show.
Right, okay.
So
I don't have time for TV shows.
Richard Osmond is
you do.
Also... he's also the co-host of a podcast now called The Rest is Entertainment, and he's also an author.
Oh, I do know him, because I've seen The Rest is Entertainment coming up, but he's with the glasses.
The glasses.
Yeah, he's a smart chap.
He's a very smart chap, but he actually made his money. He worked for one of the big TV companies creating formats. So he was involved in, I think he was involved in co-creating.
Yeah.
What's the one they pull the box open?
Yeah.
That one.
Deal or No Deal.
Deal or No Deal. He was involved in that. And then subsequent other ones, but he's got a brand called the Murder Club, which is this really, really uber successful brand of books. But he was making his other money. He did that as well as, but he was making other money in other things, and the books were a sideline. He didn't have just authoring to make his dough. I think that's a very, very, very hard game to
absolutely
just make your money in that one thing. Which I think we're going to find out in this conversation.
Yeah, so let's talk about our guest today, because Joe has built a business called Shine Books.
Yes.
Shine-books.com if you want to go and check them out. Maybe in the edit we can put some examples of the books over
because they look
screens.
Beautiful. They look great. I really like them. She's been going less than 3 years, so 0 to 3 years. Estimating monthly revenue. This is the challenge point. Is 250 quid. Do you have any team members? No. Challenge 1, getting the book seen on a large scale. Challenge 2, lack of budget for marketing or promotional opportunities, which then sort of feeds into challenge 1. Challenge number 3, lack of time due to having to work alongside this business to earn money, which then feeds into challenge 2 and challenge 1. So the whole thing is getting it off the ground, which is the difficulty here, isn't it?
I mean, I know exactly how I would sort this business out.
Well, I can't wait to hear it, because we said, sometimes you have a conversation you just want some people
want Joe to win.
Yeah.
You want Joe to win,
yeah. Something you just get good people. Good things should happen to good people.
So we'll let her tell her that, because it's not just children's books, but I think we should let her say what it is.
Should we find out where she wants to be in a year?
Yeah, that's fun.
In a year, she wants to be working solely on this business and growing and expanding it to a point where it really makes a difference. There's a real need for these books. They raise awareness, they remove stigma, and they normalise a range of neurodiverse conditions and disabilities, such as autism, dyslexia, and Tourette's. And the business has huge potential to develop. What does your business look like when it's finished? Having the books in schools, libraries across the country, alongside an interactive app that teachers and students can use, running educational workshops with the characters, having a franchise with the characters, and in a dream world, a TV series. Do you make the profit you want to make? If so, what is it? No, I'm really struggling to generate enough income to invest back into the business in order to grow it. And what do you spend your time day to day doing? Obviously, she's got these other jobs that she's having to do to sort of pay the bills at the moment, but when she's working on this business, she is researching companies and educational institutes, councils, governments, and reaching out to them. She's using social media to interact and gain followers, trying different advertising options, and looking for opportunities to raise money for the business through grants, awards, tenders, etc.
Just to make ends meet, she's doing freelance copywriting, so she's got like another gig economy job, if you like. She's not actually working for someone. She's got another. So she's master and commander of her own destiny in terms of time, but she has to put her time into to pay the bills.
Yeah, absolutely. Should we get her on? Should we help her?
Yeah.
Let's help Jo with this business. Hello, Jo. How are you?
Hello. I'm good, thank you.
Awesome stuff.
So, Jo, do you want to tell us about the books?
Yeah, of course. So the dream for me is to kind of grow and develop them, have the characters for children to kind of see themselves in the characters so they feel like they're not alone, to kind of really give them that relatability. And I think just to highlight the huge importance that we're all different, and that's a good thing. I actually kind of came up with the idea from the books from teaching older kids, and I just found there was such a stigma and a lack of understanding at that age. I wanted to bring in a sort of initiative for much younger children, to really kind of just remove that stigma, normalise these conditions and raise awareness at a point where kids kind of absorb everything. There's no judgment, there's no preconceptions about anything. So that's the kind of the hope for them. And then, as you guys have sort of said, you know, it can develop into so much more. For me, the books are kind of the starting point to introduce the characters, to get the kind of idea up and running. But then I think it's got huge legs for what it could be, what it could represent, you know, how you can kind of get this message out to the world.
How did you get your first sale? How did you sell your first book?
So I very naively I kind of set up my website, and I just set up the social media pages. So Facebook and Instagram, I think, were my first two. And then I kind of went through the creating and I self-published, printed the books. Obviously got a really small quantity to begin with because I just wasn't sure. I'd already invested quite a bit in actually creating the books. And then I just started posting about them. I had a really great kind of initial feedback from them. My post was shared lots and lots of times. I think I sold 500 books in the first 3 months. And that was just kind of that pure word of mouth, and just sort of posting in groups and kind of the organic growth, I guess.
Okay, fine. Well, I'm just going to kick off and tell you what I would do if this was my business and I had your time. So just for listeners, Jo, you're a qualified teacher. That's right, isn't it? So
Yes.
You've worked with young people for your career. You have an experience with these types of children or young people. So I would become a content creator around understanding children with dyslexia or understanding your child with dyslexia, giving advice to parents on all of ADHD, dyslexia, dyspraxia. I can't remember all the ones.
Tourette's, OCD.
Tourette's, and top tips like parenting advice. Just to Instagram and literally make 3 or 4 videos a day, build a personal brand, and then mention your books every now and then. You will sell loads. That's it, case closed. You've got to build a person, like giving parents, like if your child's got dyspraxia, this is how you can help them learn. I've actually wrote a book on this sort of thing. And then you get on the pod. Once you've got a personal brand, people will invite you onto podcasts to talk about it. You must go and speak at teacher conferences, which I know that you'll know there's loads of them, giving some big learns of how certain children with special educational needs have developed. childcare conferences. You need to be posting all your stuff in childcare groups, because they're the people that, as a man that owns 11-day nurseries, I know that we usually are prepping the kids ready for school, and we're telling parents and schools about what we've discovered and how we're helping children. So you want to get into those early year groups. Build not the Shine Books brand, build the Joe North brand.
Okay.
And then you will sell a ton of books. You've got to make loads of content about it. And then the books will come. The easiest, I've wrote 4 books myself, all around business and entrepreneurship. I've got quite a big-ish following now, and a following that's growing. I can't make any money from selling books. I just can't. If I sold 30,000 books a year, I'd probably make 35,000 profit out of that. Because, all the people take all the money, don't they? The Amazons and you might get some direct sales, yeah, absolutely. So the book should be just marketing tools to give you authority. I'd probably be wanting to write some books for parents as well. Once you've got with your autistic child, these are my top tips, which would be, prepare keynote presentations for all of the 7 books that you could deliver for an hour, podcasts for, it's the Joe North brand first, and then this stuff second.
Yeah. Okay. So would you, with the content, would you kind of not talk really about the books at all initially, and actually just focus on the conditions or disabilities?
They'll come. I mean, if you go and look on my content, I very rarely talk about the books. Maybe 1 in every 30 videos I mention the books, and we get a flurry of sales. But you're an expert, aren't you, in this space? And if you've got a lot of followers, and you're talking and you've got your book subtly in the background, and you're giving, someone that's being told their child is autistic, and they're like, oh my God, how am I going to deal with this? You're a teacher, and teachers are amazing support for children. We all get that. But actually, in a lot of cases, they're amazing support for parents that try and work out how to deal with this and what to do next. And you could build an amazing personal brand. There's loads of personal brands. They're not coming to my mind straight now with parenting advice. And Instagram and TikTok and all of that can be your friend. It's just whether you want to, make the 5 reels and videos a day. And the other thing is as well, I just want to say, what does your business look like when it's finished? And in a dream would be a TV series. You don't want a TV series. You want a YouTube series, which you can do and you can control, because anyone that's got children right now, they're not watching TV anymore. They're watching YouTube, and TV is becoming less and less important. They actually don't think Channel 4 is going to exist soon. They've just got no money.
No, they're financially in trouble, aren't they?
And so you can have a YouTube series, and people are spending big money on YouTube videos now. Just go and check out what Mr. Beast is. Mr. Beast has been offered Netflix deals, and they can't pay him enough to make the content quality he wants. So on YouTube, he stays. I mean, it's very exciting for you. It's just it's going to be a couple of years of hard work making content, but you will get results if you do that. Yeah.
I think my only concern again would be is how do you stand out? Because so I kind of, at the moment, I've been going down the tact of, I find these content creators, I'm reaching out to them obviously about the books. But how do I just, me on my own, get to the global level of everyone knowing the Joe North brand with little budget to begin with? Would it not pose the same kind of issue?
Consistency.
Or is it easier to kind of grow that organically, you think?
I promise you, the James Sinclair stuff, the stuff I do is just a process of making more and more and more, do and do and do. And you'll be rubbish at first. Your first 200 reels won't get anywhere. No one will watch them. You won't know how the algorithm works, but slowly and surely you'll get better and better. It's like copywriting. You don't, writing with punctuation and grammar is one thing, but actually writing so that someone wants to read what you're writing is a different skill set that takes practice. And making content takes practice, and it takes effort. What's the facts about podcasts, Joe? And this is the big win here. What is the fact? How many people don't make podcasts past episode whatever it is?
So there's only ever been 4 million podcasts that have ever been made. So everyone goes, oh, well, everyone's already got a podcast. We haven't. There's 4 million as opposed to 100 million Facebook pages or a billion LinkedIn accounts or a billion YouTube channels. But about 8% of those shows that have ever existed actually have published a show in the last 30 days. So you're looking at probably around 400,000, 350 to 400,000 podcast shows that have gone live in the last 30 days. So in terms of wanting to stand out and be an authority in a space that is not overcluttered with other sort of people in that space, that would be a really good authority building.
Well, I just love as well, Joe, you're very lucky because this is a niche audience and that's where that's the quickest to build. So I don't know, if like, people getting married.
Parenting for neurodiverse, that would be, as a podcast concept, would be mega.
Yeah, because... And then the people that are in that space are very research hungry, aren't they?
And they're flag waving advocates. If they come across good content, because you've got to think, most of the kids and the parents as well in that instance, they find out they've got a diagnosis or, especially, if it's your eldest kid or your only kid, you don't know how to deal with this stuff, do you? You don't know what the right thing is to say
research
or
hungry.
to do. You'd read every blog, every vlog. You'd probably buy every book about it. You listen to every podcast. You watch every YouTube video. You'd be watching it on TikTok on your lunch break. All those people would want that information. And I think that's where what Jim's saying is absolutely right. The brand of Joe brings them in, because otherwise you've got to get them to find out about the book, but they find out via you, if that makes sense. That's the right way around to do it.
It's much easier to build a personal brand with you on camera.
Yeah.
And the big thing we always say on the pod is riches and niches. This is a niche. And it's much easier to build like a real advocate audience in a niche rather than a broad church, and you might broaden up over a period of time, but you want to stay in the niches. That's where the real wins are.
And then you could, with something like this, for example, there's a new platform called School, SKOOL, which has been co-invested by Alex Hormozy, the big sort of VC guy who's on YouTube and stuff. But they are really, really trying to build out a platform with this School platform, which is for communities. It's like a Facebook group meets online course meets a calendar planner. It's brilliant as a platform, and there's so many niche audiences in there. I bet if I went onto it, in fact I could go onto it right now, I bet there is a parenting neurodiversity group on there. Hold fire, this is going to be a terrible listening experience, but hopefully we'll get to the point in a minute. Hang on if I can spell neurodiverse.
There we go. While you're doing that. So I just think that would be the best way to win in this business, building your personal brand around giving advice and helping people with 40 to 50 minutes a day of proper and writing articles about it as well. Like get them on Medium, get them on, what's the other one that's out there now that
Medium would be good, yeah. Medium.
Is there another one like Skillshare? Is that similar to, it's not me. What is the Chuds was telling me about this. There's another one that's like Medium.
I'm not sure. Reddit might be a good one for this.
Reddit. Well, all of them. Medium, Reddit. You get articles out there, and then you will get press. So if the Daily Telegraph, for example, are going to write an article about the things that your books are about, and you're an author and you've put something on Medium, you've put something on Reddit, they will then reach out to you, and you can start getting beautiful natural PR. And I know that because I get it.
Yeah.
And then people will start writing articles about you. But so I started making YouTube videos 7 years ago, making 2 a week. And then I reduced it to 1 a week and put more quality stuff out. I'm doing 2 podcasts a week. I write articles and speak on stages and repurpose that content. It really, really can help you literally explode the growth of a business. It's very exciting. It's just whether you want to put the 40 minutes a day into making content.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's definitely something. It's a funny concept to get my head around, because it just to sell me as a I'm not, I'm a teacher. I'm not a big business person. So actually putting myself out there and trying to,
because you're a teacher. So like if a doctor comes on and says you should do this, You even trust him just because they've been branded with the professional title.
Yeah.
Which is dangerous, by the way, sometimes. If a solicitor says do this, if an accountant says you should be doing this with your take, go, okay, yeah, I'll just pay that because you're the accountant, you're the person that's been given the professional title, crack on. Because you're a teacher and you're now an author and you've wrote some children's books and you've worked in schools and education and this is what you've learned, tried, tested and proven, people will listen to you because of your authoritative professional title.
Yeah.
What you found, JB?
And I think that, there's 89 different results on their school platform of different parenting groups, which have got from, like a couple of people in them to, hundreds and hundreds of people. And I think you could go and do so. Because the way I think that you monetize this is the books alone is not going to be enough revenue. You're going to have to find sort of auxiliary products and services that you can sell to that demographic to keep the lights turned on, frankly. And something like a community, which might be, £30 a month or something low price point where they get more information, more detailed information. If there's stuff that you've done before, maybe you have online webinar calls or something like that with that community. I think you'd find a real heightened interest for that kind of thing. And maybe if they come in at a certain price point and they get the bundle of the books and then they get a membership for a year or whatever it may be, that's going to be easier than selling the books individually.
Let's just ask Chance, what was the company? You said there was like medium.com and Reddit. There's another one that who was it?
Oh, Substack.
Substack. Yeah, that's the other one. Get it on there as well. I was very excited. I mean, you can absolutely have everything you want if you build your own personal brand.
I've got a client, just to sort of give you some context, it's a different subsector, but we've got a client who helps support people who've been through narcissistic relationships. So she's a narcissistic recovery trauma specialist, right? It's pretty niche. That's a 7-figure business per year because she's built community, education,
How
information.
many followers has she got? She's got a big following on Instagram.
150,000 followers on Instagram. Gets hundreds and hundreds of thousands of downloads of her podcasts, 50,000 subs on YouTube.
But you start putting good parenting advice out on Instagram and you will blow up. It'd be very quick, and then you need to get it on YouTube.
TikTok's is massive as well. The learning platform on TikTok, going to TikTok for how-tos and guides is really, really hot at the moment, like it was for YouTube a few years ago.
So congratulations if you want it. There's the pathway to doing it. There's a good book. A good friend of mine, Daniel Priestley, wrote a book on this. What is it? Key Person of Influence is actually that book. I would invest £10 into buying that book on Amazon and read that, and that book will give you tons and tons of top tips to literally.
What was it called? Sorry.
Key Person of Influence. Let me just check that.
KPI, Key Person of Influence, Daniel Priestley.
Yeah.
And then I think what you need to do, Joe, is you need to, because obviously you're very time poor at the moment because you're having to do the other stuff. You're going to have to find a way to manufacture your own content engine. So what I would be doing personally, if I was you, is I would start writing, because I think this long form blog newsletter game is going to be really, really big in the next 24 months. So I think you write a really good long form, content rich, SEO rich, keyword rich.
And she's a copywriter, so there should be no excuse.
Exactly. So you do that, and then from that, potentially you could go, right, well, within that there's like 5 top tips. So you could turn that into carousel. So you could save that as the individual images, and you could turn it into carousel. Obviously you've got an illustrator. You don't need to use an illustrator, but you could probably get it designed at not a huge cost. Then you could turn that, the individual images, you put that as a PDF, and that works as a slide share for LinkedIn. You could then put that blog go out as a LinkedIn newsletter. The first time you set up your LinkedIn newsletter, by default, you can invite all of your followers. So for example, I did it a couple of months ago. I've not got a massive following on LinkedIn. I've got like 900 people who now get every newsletter that I send out. I would then be going into groups, and I'd be sharing those blogs into the groups. You could turn some of the stats from your blog into like an infographic. You could turn that into a video. Just got to find a way. When you're time poor like you are, you've got to find a way to make a content engine quite quickly. So take a long form piece of content and repurpose the hell out of it so that you can turn it into graphics, videos, PDFs and all that kind of good stuff.
So what we do now at the end of our podcast, when we can remember, is we grade our guests on something called the 8 traits of great entrepreneurs, which I'd love to do with you. So these are traits that I've discovered about what makes an amazing entrepreneur, what makes them profitable and everything working on we'll be working on all cylinders, whatever the phrase.
Firing on all cylinders.
Firing on all cylinders. So there's 8 of them, Joe. We're going to do them together. So maybe we'll have some.
Are you going to
let Joe stay
quiz
on?
Joe on them?
Yeah, because
I like this.
I think these. If you get good at all these 8 separate traits, Joe, you'll see your business explode in growth. Okay.
Okay.
So number 1.
Can I hold you to that?
Yes, you can.
Your
money back.
Yeah.
Whatever you paid to be on this podcast, your money back times 10.
Trait number 1 is starting with the end in mind. So this is knowing what your business looks like when it's finished, knowing the profit, the revenue, what your team looks like. Do you feel you do that?
Yeah, I think, I did before this podcast, whereas obviously now my whole kind of end game has maybe shifted slightly, and it's maybe taken it off the books and off. So it might be a little bit back to the drawing board. But I always kind of try to look at the biggest picture and then work backwards from there.
Okay. I'm not going to let you have that because
what's the point in doing it with Joe if you're just going to?
Because I want to challenge you. I want to challenge you because how much are you going to be paying your MD? Who's going to be buying your business when you finish? Because one of the traits that we're always looking at is you're building a business to sell, even if you have no intention of selling it, because that discipline makes you build something much better.
Okay.
And so, I'd like you to really consider that more. Number 2, I do believe you have the next one, which is passionate about their cause.
Definitely has that in abundance.
Number 3 is untold amounts of resilience. So great entrepreneurs are very resilient and they just will not stop until they make what they want to get to, where they want to get. Untold amounts of resilience. Do you feel you have that, Joe?
I think it's building. I think actually number 2, being as passionate as I am about the whole business and this kind of world, helps my resilience. So kind of every time I don't hear back, or I get knocked back, or I don't win an award, or I'm so passionate about the idea and the concept and the need for this to be out there that kind of resilience builds back again, if that makes sense.
Good stuff. Yeah, I would agree with that. If you're passionate about your cause, you usually have untold amounts of resilience. And usually we talk about this with people with children, they're passionate about their children, and if they're ill, the resilience to get them better is unbelievable when a parent. That sort of resilience is what I mean in business. Number 4 is they master relationships with people. How good are you with people?
I'm definitely a people person. I love interacting and communicating. I think I've got definitely some bits to work on with different levels of people. So obviously children and parents, I feel like I have a really good relationship with, but in the business world, which obviously is not my kind of ballpark, building that kind of ability to liaise with business people could definitely need some work. Yeah.
Okay, so we know we need to work on that. We've got 2 out of 4 so far. Number 5 is commercial awareness. There's 3.
You could just say no here.
I think,
yeah.
But I want to give you some tips, like on being more like producing a monthly profit and loss, not relying on your accountant to tell you how profitable you are, working on gross profit margins, knowing what your average order value is, what your return on ad spend would be, knowing all this stuff. Once you've got this, it will make you make better decisions going forward. And if you meet, I saw on your Instagram page, like with Theo Pathetus, and you've done Small Business Saturday or whatever it was that you've done with him, like that man has got commercial awareness in abundance. And great entrepreneurs just look at a situation and go, is that a commercially profitable enterprise, or am I just going into swapping time for money and a profitable job? And we don't want entrepreneurs to have profitable jobs. We want them to build commercially profitable enterprises that over time eventually works without them in it. Number 6 is they innovate so they don't evaporate. I think you're trying to innovate.
Yeah, I think so.
So you're an innovator. We'll give you that one. Number 7.
Thank you.
Number 7, they're master marketeers.
You can't have that.
You can't have that.
Yeah.
You've got to get good at marketing. And what's frustrating is once you're a good copywriter, copywriting is one of the best skills that an entrepreneur can have in their armory. Whether you're writing copy good enough to sell or just good enough to get people to read, that is 2 different skill sets. And the best person to read on marketing for entrepreneurs is a guy called Dan Kennedy. Read his copywriting books. That will excel your skill set as an entrepreneur in terms of copywriting to sell stuff. He's an American guy. In fact, your old chum, Alex Homosi, who you're very in love with, aren't you? I mean, you got the hat. His school is his thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
He is a disciple of Dan Kennedy.
He is.
Yeah. Number 7, they're master marketeers. Number 8, they stay teachable and curious.
Oh, she's definitely that.
Yeah, you're definitely
she's
that.
definitely that.
You wouldn't be on the podcast if you wasn't curious.
So you got a solid
This is
4 out of
true.
8. You're halfway there. You're halfway to the 8 traits of the greats. I mean, you've won nothing, Joe, but there you go.
No, you've won nothing. Starting with the end in mind, commercial awareness and becoming a master marketeer. They're the 3 you need to work on first.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
I think you got something good here, though. I'm going to link you up to an organisation called Jack, which stands for Just Ask Any Question. They are absolutely blowing up at the moment, and they have experts who go on. It's basically like an AI-driven information service. It's brilliant, but one of the things that they do is they will talk about different formats of neurodiversity. So I'll link you up with them, and you could probably go in and do one of their expert sessions, and then you could be on their Jack platform. So if parents want to know
Getting
information
on podcasts,
yes,
you can just repurpose that content that someone else is going to make for you.
Yeah,
which is another
do
quick
the
way.
videos. Again, if you're time, there's a brilliant platform called Opus Clip. So if you go in on and did a video with somebody on a podcast episode, if they were recording it, if you were like in a studio with them, or if you did it via like a Riverside or whatever it may be, that you can pull clips out of that very, very quickly and easily. There's loads of stuff you can do. You've got to maximise your time, I'd say. Turn your personal brand into a content engine. Start with a really well written long form blog, I think, given your copywriting skills, and then repurpose from there. Graphics, videos, infographics,
I think, Joe,
carousels.
I think what we're trying to get to is just get into the habit of making content. Don't worry about views and comments.
Yeah.
Once you've got the habit of making content consistently, it's like exercise. Just get in the habit of doing it, and then get a PT or a coach to make you really good at it. Just get into the habit. Like you want to learn how to play piano, just get into the habit of learn, then get a teacher. Once you've got in the habit of doing it often, then you can get really good at it. And most people, because they don't get immediate results after making 10 videos, they give up.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Well,
which is where my resilience comes in.
Good stuff. Yeah, absolutely.
Where can people find these fantastic books, Joe, if they've been listening and going, I need some help with that stuff, or I'd like to support Joe with what she's doing? Where can they go and find out more info?
Yeah, so on all the social media, we are at the Shine Books. And then the website is shine-books.com.
shine-books.com. Well, we wish you well. We'll check back in with you in a little while and find out how you've gone with this personal brand.
Wish we could
venture.
Take that song Shine to play this out. There you go, Joe. Thanks for being on.
Sing us out.
There we go. Thanks for being on. Well, look, she's lovely, and I'm hoping that some of that stuff will be taken on board.
I think you will. You're right, though. It is, and if people are listening at home now and they're going, "Hang on a second, is it really that much easier to build a personal brand?" 100%.
It is,
because it is just about you. So, for example, and your point a minute ago about like being on podcasts and just getting in the habit of content, like it's not just the podcast that's the piece of content. Let people know in your stories, hey, I'm doing James Sinclair's podcast, because then if she tags you in it, you might then reach out to it, and then people it got that circular virality.
And if anyone's listening to my stuff or watching my videos, go on my main YouTube channel and watch the first 200, 300 videos we made. They are not what we're making today, but those 200-300 videos taught us and got us into the habit of making regular content, and I'm very thankful for that. It takes time to get good at stuff. It just takes time. You
also, people buy into the journey and the evolution. Like you don't necessarily want someone who's too polished straight out of the gate.
Yeah.
You actually want to go on that journey with somebody. You want to see their, warts and all. What is the journey? What's the process? If Joe is a little bit, if she told of her passion and her mission and her vision and the fact that, I'm doing copywriting as well, I actually told the story of it, and I'm trying to juggle family and work and making enough money, and I've got a speaking event at a school, and really it doesn't even sort of wash its face to do it, but I want to get the hands into more books, of more kids or whatever. You just never know who's watching or listening to that content, and it's not like you just don't know which piece of content's going to pop. And it doesn't. And when I say pop, it doesn't need to get 1 million views on TikTok or whatever. But it might just be the right person sees it.
You're talking about using all these AI tools to create short form stuff. do you really think that stuff is good enough compared to someone actually? Because when you
No, it's not as good. You know, like the trailers that we make for this, for example,
are made by a person,
are
aren't
made
they?
by a person. And
That chooses
it chooses the clips, and it takes half a day.
And
You know,
also
it's half
stuff,
a day of
all
someone's time.
the reels on my Instagram stuff. My team are looking at it, going, "Oh, that's a powerful clip there."
Yeah.
They're
So for the likes of, no, that it's not as good is the simple answer, but it gets you on the journey, it gets you on the process. So I had somebody who was off sick yesterday, so I was pushed back with some of the content. So I had a show that I needed to get some clips for, so I put it into Opus Clip, and it gave me 25 clips from a 45-minute podcast episode. Now, like 2 of them will be any good, but it's cost me, $50 for that bit of software for the month or whatever it may be, and it just gets you up and running. For those who are holding back from doing anything in the absence of perfection, you're never going to get started.
Oh yeah. Some is better than none.
Yeah. What I don't rate though is, in the instance of a Joe, just going to ChatGPT and going, write me an article, 1,000 words about neurodiversity for parents with suffering from Tourette, with kids suffering from Tourette's. Like, that is not going to work.
Just as well, thinking about copywriting, I suppose me and Chuds really, when we're deciding titles and thumbnails for YouTube, like we're doing a big copywriting job there. We're very, like we were talking about one of our new YouTube videos. There's how to make money online, and then we're chatting it and we're shooting the breeze, and they said how you make money, how to make millions on Shopify, and then I said, actually let's put the word I in there, how I make money, how I make millions from selling on Shopify. Like all of that, we really discuss it. Properly have conversations about it. We bloody write them down, like in a notebook.
How does it look?
No, would they click on that? And then before we've actually made the bleeding piece of content, like we're starting there. When I started out making content, it was make the video, but then whatever the title was, whatever the thumbnail was, and we've completely reverse engineered like the 3 things that are most important about making content for us: title, thumbnail, first 30 seconds, then a really good video. So,
but that's the evolution of content, isn't it? Because now you're in the top echelons of content making. So now you're looking for the 1% differences. You are reverse engineering. But
I actually think
you've got the audience.
And there was something, obviously, Mr. Beast, Alex Hormozy. I watched a video of his. He was talking about. He's a really good copywriter, Alex Hormozy. Like I said, a disciple of Dan Kennedy, and he was talking about Mr. Beast in one of his videos. He actually met Mr. Beast, of course he did, and he said to Mr. Beast, I just don't want to make clickbait titles. And Mr. Beast went, well, yeah, absolutely. You want to make clickbait titles. You just want to make sure whatever the clickbait is, you actually do it in the video.
Yeah, deliver on the promise.
Yeah. Most marketeers that get attention don't deliver on the promise. But Mr. Beast, if anyone's seen of his stuff, and anyone that's got kids will know of his stuff, he has a very heavy clickbait title. But unbelievably, the video is that. And if you can do that, you win the day.
And that is, when we talk about like a professional brand or a personal brand, your brand, be personal or business, is your reputation. Nothing more, nothing less. But it's also can be considered as a promise. Your brand is a promise. You've got to deliver on that promise. So if Joe now puts herself out there as an expert in the space of genuinely helping parents when children are suffering from neurodivergent ailments or illnesses or mental health challenges, that she needs to deliver on that, which is why she can't just go, hey, it's Joe here, buy my books, it's fantastic. Like, educate, inform and entertain, those 3 formats of content, and then 1 in 5, make and ask. But people will come and find you. They will want to, especially if you help them with their child, which is the thing you love most in the world, unless our significant others are listening to this conversation. But you will do anything for someone who helps you with your children.
Did your wife love you?
She likes and tolerates me.
And she loves her children more than you?
Oh, yeah, of course.
Would she be, if you came home and said, I don't want to be with you anymore, how would she have behaved?
Oh, she's fine. She always has a bag packed by the front door just in case I do come home with that.
When you're at Bert the Burke, I've had enough for you.
There you go.
There's another podcast you're involved with, actually, with your wife, aren't you?
Yes.
It's called the Business Marriage Podcast.
Business Marriage, yeah.
Yeah, which you get to a stage where people actually start watching, then you just stop making it, don't you?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. We're back on at the moment.
Yeah.
So we're back on.
Go and check it out.
On phase.
But it's on YouTube, isn't it?
It is on YouTube.
And I really like it because Well, I feel sorry for you because I have a go at you and she has a go at you, and I just think this.
I just don't care what anyone says to me though. I just got no.
Any
filter.
staff have a go at you?
Yeah.
They
No,
think you're
literally,
wrong
no
on
one
it.
in my world likes me at all. So I come here for a curry. A curry and a chat with you lot.
Yeah.
It's all right for half an hour.
So go and check his other podcast out that doesn't get as many views or interactions as
it
ours.
does not.
But maybe one day if you stay consistent.
There you
with
go.
it.
Keep battling away at it.
Absolutely.
See, that's actually, to Joe's point, that's a perfect example because people will go there now and they'll say, oh, God, this has got 200 subs. And last week it had 50 likes. But you know what? In the first 2 weeks we put that content out, we had the Great British Entrepreneur Awards asked us to do a live stage as like a couples in entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
We got asked to do 2 or 3 keynote talks. In the first week, we had 0 audience at that point, but that was from putting out content about a particular subject. And all of a sudden people were like, oh, can you talk to us about this kind of thing? Yeah. Rob did, that came on our podcast. We had an app with 4 million users who approached us to put our content on their app each week.
There you go.
Loads of opportunities.
Well, if you do like listening to me and James, why not come along to our podcast live? We're going to the Leicester Square Theatre.
We are.
We're going to be putting this podcast out live in a theatre show. And it's only £32 a ticket.
I'm really genuinely excited about this.
Yeah, it's the highlight of my year. We're going to do a Q&A at the end. Then we'll deliver some content at the beginning. We're going to get past guests that have really been quite fun to hear where they've come from over the last 400 episodes. And
there's loads of people who reach out who say, I listened to the podcast. I wasn't even a guest on the podcast, but I listened in. I've implemented something. I've made a complete change to the business.
Yeah. I'm really looking forward to it.
It's going to be good fun.
It's £32 for a night out in London.
My only slight concern is in a couple of weeks' time, we've got to go and do a tech check with their team. You know, like normally they'll be like flying things in and all this sort of stuff. Yeah. They're going to go, right, what are your requirements? I'm going to go, can I have 2 XLR leads to go out the back of this desk? That's going to be about it, really, isn't it?
There you go.
I'm going to feel the time. Can you do that thing when you walk with the balloon on your head?
No.
At the beginning?
Those days are gone.
Okay, fine.
Those days are gone.
Those days are not gone.
James Sinclair's not an entertainer anymore.
Oh, shut up.
I'm an edutainer.
Oh, it's really? Is that how you're branding yourself these days?
This is an edutainment platform. Thanks for listening, guys. If you're watching on YouTube, please subscribe to the channel, hit us in the comments if there's anything that you think we've missed and you would like to give Joe some advice. The comments are there to help our guests as well. We would love to let you to know what you think that you would do, and maybe you disagree with me or JB. We'd love to see those comments too. What else?
I think that's it.
Oh, and if you're listening on an audio platform, please leave us a review wherever you listen to us on audio.
We've had a few nice ones recently. I forgot to tell you.
Yeah, I'd actually check that out on Apple Pod. Can you see reviews on Spotify?
No, but there's a platform called Chartable. And if you've got a review through Spotify, it'll pull through to Chartable.
All right, because I'd love to have a look on ours on Chartable. Can we do that in the next break before the next one?
Yeah, we could definitely do that.
Okay, thanks for listening in, gang. Ta-ra, ta-ra.